Revenge films.
The other day, my grandmother, on my mother's side, passed away at the age of 110, concluding her long life. And because we were busy with the funeral and many other things, I made my house available for the relatives who traveled from far away to stay at and take a break. Then my cousin's kid really messed up. I'm a typical nerd, and my room is full of figurines, models, games, and comic books. I had locked the door to my room, but he broke it and went in. 38 of my figurines and an uncountable amount of my plastic models, it was too broken I couldn't count, were destroyed. He even spilled juice on the sofa, and because it splashed onto my computer as well, the keyboard also broke. The soundboard isn't working well, too. He pulled the covers of my comic books and novels, even folded some pages, and destroyed the glued part of many books. One of my Blu-ray discs was shattered, 15 of them were scratched, making all of them unable to play the content. Sound and videos were skipping in more than 30 of the discs as well. I didn't own too many limited editions of the comic books and computer parts, but many of the limited editions of the figurines, models, and Blu-ray discs that we can no longer buy were destroyed. Especially some of the figurines were limited editions that were only released at specific events. Some of the really special ones that you rarely see at auctions also became a victim. It's impossible to buy them again if they had already gone out of production or made to order. I suffered a loss of around $3 million. After I went home from getting ready for the funeral, I found bits of figurines, games, and DVDs that weren't supposed to be in the living room, and my cousin's wife said to me,
"I'm sorry, I think my daughter accidentally broke it."
She said lightly with a smile. As soon as I rushed into my room, I fell onto my knees. I experienced for the first time a feeling like everything around me had gone dark. Despair took over my emotions. I was so shocked and about to go crazy as if the world was going to end. But my cousin's wife did not show any signs of remorse and said that she can't help it because it was her kid who did it, and it's not a big deal because they're just toys and comic books. But I wasn't able to process anything I heard. When my house underwent a renovation, in return for paying most of the total cost, I designed the layout of my own room. I had a very proper display of figurines and models, but now it was a pile of useless pieces, and I was at a loss for words. Nevertheless, her kid was ignorantly destroying one of my collections right there. When my cousin's wife found her doing that, she would just say, "Oh my," and wouldn't even try to stop her from doing so. Seeing her child triumphant after destroying my collections,
Did you have fun?
she would even smile at her. For the first time in my life, I felt the urge to murder a human being. I was that furious. A moment later, my cousin who entered the house after me saw the tragic situation, and he was also at a loss for words. He then scolded his kid right there and apologized to me. He just thought his kid accidentally broke some of the plastic models in the living room, but seeing the tragic state my room was in, he finally understood that his kid really messed up. To be honest, I don't remember much after that. They told me I replied that I was okay whenever someone asked me if I felt fine, but honestly, I don't remember anything. Even in this mental state, I managed to finish my grandmother's funeral, interment of her ashes, and carrying out her coffin as planned. But they told me I went crazy after that. The next Saturday, my cousin's family visited me, and they said they'll compensate me for the loss, asking me to give them an estimate of the total. I cleaned up my room and checked which of my collections were safe, but I gave up on counting my plastic models. My cousin knew quite a lot about my nerdy hobbies, and he saw that I owned many items that cost more than $100, so he was prepared to pay a pretty big amount to me. Just to start, he gave me $500 right there, but his wife went crazy seeing him pay that amount.
My kid did it on accident, so there's no way he's gonna make us pay such a huge amount of money. Where did you get the money from?
She spat out, her saliva flying everywhere. Then my cousin replied, "Then you better go destroy all your bags and shoes. You did the same thing to him, so it should make sense." He yelled at her. My cousin's wife muted herself after that, but she would mumble time to time. I had to go through my collection again to check which of them were destroyed, so I told them to wait for the estimate, and the day ended like that. In the end, it turns out that 38 of my figurines were impossible to restore, and limiting my plastic models to the limited editions, 41 of them were destroyed. 9 boxes of Blu-ray and DVD sets, 33 individual discs were broken, 45 of my books were damaged, and in the end the motherboard of my computer also broke, damaging the computer altogether. My sofa only required some cleaning, so even if I did exclude the cleaning costs, the compensation totaled up to $3.14 million. Actually, there were more items that were scratched and some of the color was peeling off, but it was still restorable, and I managed to fix some figurines and discs. Some of the Blu-ray packages were stained and scratched, but I didn't include them in the compensation total. And for the famous mobile suit plastic models, it would take me more time to check which are restorable with my own hands or not, so I barely included any fees for that. In addition, fixing it would also cost me money, and considering the time and hard work, I really wanted to make them pay for that as well. But because he was my cousin, I decided to go easy on them as much as I can. When they visited my house again, I showed them my estimate of compensation, and as I expected, they were shocked.
Stop this nonsense. How much are you making us pay just to compensate for toys? I know you're planning to steal money, taking advantage of this opportunity, but I'm not letting that happen. First of all, we paid $500 last time, which is more than enough.
It was really annoying to hear her yell and scream. First of all, my cousin apologized to me, but his wife never did, and her kid also shows no signs of remorse. She seemed to have no idea how I was going easy on them in this situation, and that made me really mad. I guess my cousin sensed something from my attitude and told her, "They're not just toys. You don't even understand their worth, but why are you making a fuss ignoring your own mistakes?" That was what he said to her. And to me he said, "I'm so sorry. We'll figure out a way to pay, so please forgive us." He politely bowed as an apology. I really disliked his wife's behavior, but I knew he was being sincere with his apologies, so I accepted it. A week later, my cousin asked for my bank account, and as soon as I told him, he transferred the money. I wondered how he managed to transfer such a large amount of money when his wife went crazy over just $500, but it turns out she dug her own grave, and the story didn't end there. It seemed like my cousin had a huge fight with his wife about money. Her wife firmly told him that she'll never pay, while my cousin said they obviously should take responsibility for what their daughter did. So they had a huge fight. Then his wife planned to get her parents on her side, so she visited her parents' house and told them everything. Then his parents-in-law argued against him, saying how come they had to pay millions just to compensate for toys that a kid accidentally broke. But he had many photos as evidence, so when he told them the compensation total as he showed them the tragic situation, her parents went pale and quickly provided him the money on his behalf. It looks like her father also had a collection like me before, and he stopped collecting them when he had no money to use freely after marriage, but he understood the worth very well. He thought she was talking about ordinary toys. He got mad that she wasn't telling him the true story, and he scolded her good time. He also questioned her ability to educate her child, and both her parents got really angry at her. So I heard that she ended up crying because her father was so intimidating. My cousin's father-in-law understands the worth, so I bet he knew I was going easy on them with the compensation, and he told me that he was really sorry. I won't be getting back my collection, but I did receive compensation, and I'm glad that someone understands the worth of my collection. After that, their daughter was scolded a lot by her grandfather, and he decided to supervise her education for a while. In the wife's case, she was forced to pay back the money by working and making money on her own. So I heard she's going to be forced to work at the convenience store and supermarket until she makes enough money to pay them back. Serves her right.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.